I have to make the deal first. I don't worry about security right now. We have to have a deal, because right now, last week, 2,000 soldiers died on both sides. 2,000, and they're losing 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 a week. So as we sit here and we talk, people are getting shot and dying on the battlefield. And you know, they're not American soldiers, but they're Russian soldiers and they're Ukrainian soldiers, and we want to be able to stop it. And we want to be able also to spend money on other things. We don't want to, this is a tremendous amount of money, and what the Biden administration did was terrible. They were giving money, but he had no security on the money. Europe, as you know, gave much less money, but they had security. It was in the form of a loan. They get their money back, and we didn't. And now, at least we're protected.
You know, what Donald Trump is talking about is it's such a common sense thing, right? We have people on both sides being killed by the thousands, if not the hundreds of thousands, as far as like the entirety of the war since it started. And it needs to stop. And it's so unfortunate that people have this mentality of Russia just being like this great evil entity that they can't see how even the soldiers on the side of the Russian forces are victims in this situation as well. Because really, the truth is, when it comes to the military of just about any government or any country, you know, when your leaders tell you it's time to go fight, that's your job, you know? So, and sometimes these people, especially in the Ukraine, they are conscripted and drafted against their will. If they don't fight, then they're killed, they're jailed, or whatever the case may be. And, you know, what I like about the way Donald Trump talks about this is that he humanizes the Russian side. He humanizes it by letting it be clearly known that, yeah, it's bad that the Ukrainian soldiers are being killed, but it's also bad that the Russian soldiers are being killed as well. Unfortunately, as Trump tries to humanize the Russian side and see things from their point of view simultaneously, it makes him look bad as far as people who look at Russia as being our eternal great evil. like this eternal great enemy of America. People who feel like Russia is like fucking Frieza from Dragon Ball Z, right? Like Frieza and the Frieza Force. People like that, they see this and it makes Trump look bad to them. But to me, I think it's fantastic the way he's breaking this situation down, because you can tell he's not picking a side. He's taking the stance of let's end the war and stop people from dying. Like that's his stance. That's what, end the war, stop the dying, stop the death, stop the violence. Like that's his position. But it seems like what some people want him to say is fuck Russia, fuck Putin, send billions to Ukraine, boots on the ground. And if he's not saying that, then, you know, he's on the side of Vladimir Putin.
Protected because the American taxpayer has to be protected too. But this is an incredible agreement for...
The American taxpayer has to be protected too. Look, when Trump is good, he's good. Damn.
Ukraine, because we have a big investment in their country now, and what they have, very few people have. And we're able to really go forward with very, very high-tech things and many other things, including weaponry that we're going to use in many locations, but that we need for our country.
Mr. President,
this allows us to do that.
Military aid.
Yes, go ahead, please.
If I can just, yes.
Also, you notice how Zelensky wanted to talk, and then Trump opened the floor up for him to be able to say something. So again, I'm trying to just analyze this. Again, we're not going to watch the whole thing, but I'm trying to analyze it fairly, because I think that when things get heated between them, it could give the impression that maybe Trump was setting him up, which could be the case. But I'm seeing these little moments where you can tell that Trump is, again, being respectful in terms of giving him credit as a leader down. I mean, from him down to the soldiers themselves, calling them braves and acknowledging the struggle that they're going through. And also giving him opportunities to speak and express himself as well. So it's not like the conversation started off on the wrong foot. I don't feel like Trump is leading him into where it eventually lands, but I'm just trying to give credit where credit is due.
If we speak about business and investment, we never had LNG terminals in Ukraine. This document will open. I mean, the next document, but anyway, here we see in the framework, we see a really good will for this. LNG terminals for us is very important, and I think for security of European continent. We have the biggest storage, gas storage. We have the biggest in Europe. Yes, and we can use it. Use it for LNG, use it for LNG, and we will do it. And really, we can help Europe because Europe really helped. President Trump said that they made less support, but they are our friends and they are our very supportive partners. They really gave a lot, Mr. President. They did.
They gave a lot, but they gave much less.
No.
Much less.
No. No.
Look at him. No.
No. Okay.
That was a cute little moment where Trump was correcting him. Like, yeah, they gave, but not as much as us. And then Zelensky's like, no. Then Trump is like, yeah, they I'm not pro Zelensky, but support Ukrainian people. Yeah, I don't want the Ukrainian people to get wiped out or anything like that. I just feel like they're kind of caught in a bad situation where you're in a country that is basically caught in the middle between this beef between Russia and the West. And the West has been instigating things so much to the point where Russia felt like they needed to invade the Ukraine to make sure that it wouldn't fall under direct influence of the West. I mean, that's my basic understanding of events. It could be more complicated than that, but that's my understanding of how things went down pretty much. Because even back in, I think around 2014 or 2015, Ron Paul was warning about the possibility of escalation of war in Eastern Europe between Russia and Ukraine because of the meddling of the United States in those areas. And then here we are today. So it's not like this happened out of nowhere. There were a chain of events that led to where we are today. They are both just lives tricked into murdering each other. Yeah, exactly. Like, that's the fucked up thing about it. It's just like what I said before. The unfortunate thing about this shit, I guarantee you, before war was declared, the Ukrainian people weren't concerned about killing the Russians and vice versa. Like, the people that are now killing each other and hating each other weren't even thinking about each other before the war even started. Like, these are things that are being instigated and dictated by people who would never have to see the realities of war, who would never have their arms blown off, legs blown off, family members killed, or anything like that. They're the ones who are deciding and making these things happen that are escalating towards the war in the first place. And that's why, even if Trump is somehow in on this as well and got his own agenda, I can respect his stance because he understands that the people who are suffering the most are the soldiers and their families, and the constant danger that civilians are in because of this war, and the importance of ending it as quickly as possible. Now, there could be 1,000,001 agendas attached to this, like Killdozer was talking about earlier with the heavenly Jerusalem and buying up land in Ukraine. That could have been the overall or one of the major agendas of the war in the first place. Slavic women are what you got censored there, my friend. But let's skip towards the end here where it gets exciting.
Yeah.
Okay, so he occupied our parts, big parts of Ukraine, part of East and Crimea. So he occupied it on 2014. So during a lot of years, so I'm not speaking about just Biden, but those time was Obama, then President Obama, then President Trump, then President Biden, now President Trump, and God bless, now President Trump will stop him. But during 2014, nobody stopped him. He just occupied and took. He killed people. You know what the contact
2015.
2014.
2014 and 2015.
2014?
Yeah. So
I was,
he
I
killed.
was not here.
Yeah, but
That's exactly
but-
right.
Yes, but.
I was not here. That was not a good look for Trump there. Cause he said 2015. Like he just knew. He knew it too. Like it was 2015. Even I knew it was 2014. I was like, what?
During 2014 till 2022, yeah, the situation the same. The people have been dying on the contact line. Nobody stopped him. You know that we had conversations with him, a lot of conversation, my bilateral conversation, and we signed with him, me, like a new president. In 2019, I signed with him the deal. I signed with him, Macron and Merkel, we signed ceasefire. Ceasefire. All of them told me that he will never go. We signed him gas contract. Gas contract. Yes, but after that, he broken this ceasefire. He killed our people and he didn't exchange prisoners. We signed the exchange of prisoners, but he didn't do it. What kind of diplomacy, JD, you are speaking about? What do you mean?
I'm talking about the kind of diplomacy that's going to end the destruction of your country.
Yes, but if you
Mr.
are
President,
not
Mr. President, with respect, I think it's disrespectful for you to come to the Oval Office and try to litigate this in front of the American media. Right now, you guys are going around and forcing conscripts to the front lines because you have manpower problems. You should be thanking the president for trying.
You know, I do feel like right here, I think Zelensky actually made a solid point. I don't know about the validity of it. And what he was saying was that there was some sort of a peace agreement that Vladimir Putin and Russia went against. And so he's saying that how can we be sure about any sort of like security agreement or anything like that when they've already gone against that before in the past? Now, again, I don't know how true that is. I don't know the validity of it. But if what he was saying was not valid, why did they not attack that? It seems like, I feel like Vance was kind of changing the subject here and was like, you're being disrespectful. Right? You're being so disrespectful. And this is just something that stood out to me because I noticed that they didn't attack the point that he made directly. They skipped over it and then started going on about how he was being disrespectful.
What the contact
2015.
24 signed with him, Macron and Merkel, we signed ceasefire.
All right, sign a ceasefire.
Ceasefire. All of them told me that he will never go. We signed him gas contract. Gas contract. Yes, but after that, he broken this ceasefire. He killed our people and he didn't exchange prisoners. We signed the exchange of prisoners, but he didn't do it. What kind of diplomacy, JD, you are speaking about? What do you mean?
I'm talking about the kind of diplomacy that's going to end the destruction of your country.
Yes, but if you
Mr.
are
President,
not
Mr. President, with respect, I think it's disrespectful for you to come to the Oval Office and try to litigate this in front of the American media. Right now, you guys are going around and forcing conscripts to the front lines because you have manpower problems.
He changed the subject there. I gotta say it. He flipped to the conscript thing. And that was a good flip because he knows that a lot of the American people that are tuned into what's going on in Ukraine are sympathetic to the conscripts because we've seen the videos of them being dragged off from their homes, dragged and bullied in the streets and grabbed and thrown in vans. And when they're trying to leave the country, they stop the cars that they're in and pull them out, have them land on the ground. And so he knows that we are sympathetic and aware of this thing. And so he pivots to that and doesn't really address what Zelensky was saying there about Putin going against the ceasefire agreement from years ago or something like that. Again, I don't know the exact circumstances of that, but I just worry because he didn't attack that directly. He was just like, well, you're being disrespectful. Fuck you because you're conscripting people. And I agree. Fuck you. But still, like that was just really like just a pure just alpha male moment right there. Like he alphaed him. And he could get away with it because Zelensky doesn't have any real leverage in the situation. So that's why he was able to get away with this shit.
You should be thanking the president for trying to bring it into this conflict.
Have you ever been to Ukraine that you say what problems we have?
I have been to.
You come once.
I've actually watched and seen the stories, and I know what happens is you bring them on a propaganda tour.
They say that Zelensky called him a bitch in Ukraine right there. Like he said suka. And apparently that means bitch in Ukrainian.
Mr. President, I've actually watched and
like right here
seen the stories, and I know what happens is you bring people.
He said something on his breath. Suka.
You bring them on a propaganda tour, Mr. President. Do you disagree that you've had problems bringing people into your military? And do you think that it's respectful to come to the Oval Office of the United States of America and attack the administration that is trying to prevent the destruction of your country?
A lot of questions. Let's start from the beginning.
Sure.
First of all, during the war, everybody has problems. Even you, but you have nice ocean and don't feel now, but you will feel it in the future. God bless.
You don't know that.
God bless.
You
God
don't know.
bless. You will not have a war.
Don't tell us what we're going to feel. We're trying to solve a problem. Don't tell us what we're going to feel.
I'm not telling you.
Because you're in no position to dictate that.
That's exactly what
Remember
you're
that.
doing.
You're in no position to dictate what we're going to feel. We're going to feel very good.
You will feel influence.
We're going to feel very
I'm
good and
telling
very
you,
strong.
You will feel influence.
You're right now not in a very good position. You've allowed yourself to be in a
from
very
the very
bad position,
beginning
and he
of the
happens
war.
to be right about
From
it.
the very beginning of the war.
You're not
Mr.
in a good
Brown,
position.
I
You don't
was
have the cards right now. With us, you start having
not playing cards.
Right now, you don't.
I'm very
You're playing
serious,
cards.
Mr. President.
You're
I'm
playing
very
cards.
serious.
You're gambling
I'm
with the
president
lives
of-
of.
I'm not gonna lie, I like that rebuttal from Zelensky. I'm not playing cards. I'm very serious. I like that.
Millions of people.
You think-
You're gambling with World War III.
What do you
You're
think
gambling
about?
with
What do you
World
think
War
about?
III. And
Yeah.
what you're doing is very disrespectful to the country, this country. That's
with
back
all
to you.
respect to your
Far
country.
more than a lot of people said
With
they
respect.
should have.
Have you said thank you once? This
A lot
entire
of
meeting?
times.
No, in this
Even
entire meeting,
today.
have you said thank you?
Even today.
You went to Pennsylvania and campaigned for the opposition in October. Offer some words of appreciation for the United States of America and the president who's trying to save.
Yeah, I gotta be honest. Like I feel like some of these attacks on Zelensky were kind of petty. Like, did you say thank you today? Come on. Look, I'm always going to give the fairest assessment that I can. I don't like Zelensky. He's a fucking actor. The most puppet-ass president we probably ever seen. I don't like this guy. But I'm not going to be unfair to him either. That was fucked up and petty. You didn't say thank you. That's like something that a fucking woman would say. Right? You didn't even say thank you that I cooked your meal yesterday. I can't believe you didn't say thank you, Emmanuel.
Your country.
Please, you think that if you will speak very loudly about the war, you
He's
can...
not speaking loudly. He's not
Yeah.
speaking loudly. Your country's
Can I-
in big
can-
trouble.
can I
Wait a
answer?
minute. No.
Can
You've
I
done a lot
answer?
of talking. Your country is in big trouble.
I know.
Woo! You've done a lot of talking. Oh, look at this right here. Like, this is such a Sunday moment right here. Watch this.
Of America and the president who's trying to save your country.
Please, you think that if you will speak very loudly about the war, you
He's
can...
not speaking loudly. He's not
Yeah.
speaking loudly. Your country's
Can I-
in big
can-
trouble.
can I
Wait a
answer?
minute. No.
Can
You've
I
done a lot
answer?
of talking. Your country is in.
Right there. You've done a lot of talking. I have. But it's like he knows that he doesn't have any leverage. So he has to just take it. He got to take it. Look at him. He just know I can't, because he can only defend himself so much here because he doesn't have a lot of leverage. He doesn't have any advantage in the negotiations. So he has to allow them to do most of the talking. And even if they're being somewhat unfair and aggressive in how they're dealing with him, he kind of got to take it, because even if he's right on every point, that's not going to force them into a situation where they have to do what he wants them to do. He doesn't have any leverage here, man.
Big trouble.
I know.
You're not
I
winning.
know.
You're not winning.
I know. That's like, he looks like a teenage son right here. I know, Dad. I know. I know, Mom. I know. Oh my God, dude. Cause my mom, she always says that. Like, whenever she's like criticizing us about something or trying to give us some wisdom or correcting our behavior, we'll be like, I know. And then she'll be like, y'all know everything, huh? You always say, you know. He got completely sun here, man.
This.
I,
You have a damn good chance of
we are
coming out
staying,
okay because of
Mr.
us.
President, we are staying in our country, staying strong from the very beginning of the war. We've been alone, and we are thankful. I said thanks
You haven't
in
been
this
alone.
cabinet,
You
and
haven't
not
been
only
alone.
in this cabinet.
We gave you, through
I
this
said
stupid
thank you.
president, $350 billion.
You voted
We gave
for
you
your
military
president.
equipment,
You
and you
voted
men
for
are
your
brave, but they had to use our military.
What about
If-
West
If
people?
you didn't have
You
our
invited
military
me-
equipment,
you invited
if
me
you
to
didn't
speak.
have our military equipment, this war would have been over in 2 weeks.
In 3
okay?
days, I heard it from Putin. In 3 days, this is something
Maybe
new.
less.
In 2 weeks, of course,
It's
yes.
gonna be a very hard thing to do business like this. I
Again,
tell you.
just say thank you.
I said a lot of times thank you to American people.
Accept that there are disagreements, and let's go litigate those disagreements rather than trying to fight it out in the American media when you're wrong. We know that you're wrong.
But you see, I think it's good for the American people to see what's going on.
I understand, sir.
I think it's
I
very
understand.
important. That's why I kept this going so long. You have to be thankful. You don't have the
I'm
cards.
thankful.
You're buried there, your people are dying,
tell you
you're
again,
running low
I
on
know.
soldiers.
Don't-
Listen,
don't,
you're
please,
running
Mr.
low on
President.
soldiers. It would be a damn good thing.
Mr.
And
President.
then you tell us, I don't.
Zelensky, shut the fuck up. Just shut the fuck up. It's time to shut the fuck up. I'm sorry, dog. At this point, it's just time to shut up, bruh.
want a ceasefire. I don't want a ceasefire. I want to go and I wanted this. Look, if you could get a ceasefire right now, I tell you, you.
Right there, Trump was straight up insulting him. I don't want a ceasefire. I want to see. He was mocking him right there. And Zelensky looked at him like, what?
Take it so the bullets stop flying and your men stop getting killed.
Of course, we want to stop the war.
But you're
I
saying
said-
you don't want a ceasefire.
But I said to you,
I want a
with
ceasefire.
guarantees.
Because you'll get a ceasefire faster than an agreement.
Ask our people about ceasefire, what they think.
That
It
wasn't
doesn't
with
matter
me.
for you what.
That
what
wasn't
this
with me.
means. It
That was
wasn't
with
you.
a guy named Biden who was not a smart person.
But This
That
is
was
your,
with,
this
that was
is
with
your
Obama.
president. It was your president.
Excuse me, that was with Obama, who gave you sheets, and I gave you javelins.
Yes.
I gave you the javelins to take out all those tanks. Obama gave you sheets. In fact, the statement is, Obama gave sheets and Trump gave javelins. You gotta be more thankful, because let me tell you, you don't have the cards. With us, you have the cards, but without us, you don't have any cards.
Oh man, all right, we'll go ahead and we'll end it there. Man, what a shit show. Oh man. Lord, man, Zelensky. For his sake, I hope he really is just a puppet actor president, because if his heart and soul is really into this, that is very embarrassing. That is incredibly embarrassing. But I mean, look at Trump's face. I've never seen him just so on the attack like that. Not even at the debates. I mean, he was on Zelensky's ass here, man. And I gotta say, when I first saw JD Vance, like, our introduction to him was not very good. Remember, like, some of the first things we heard from him was like talking bad about cat women, like cat ladies with no kids voting and shit like that. That wasn't a great introduction to him. But again, I'm always one to give credit where credit is due. He's a good talker. He's a good speaker, and he was a good wingman for Trump in this conversation here. The way he backed Trump up. Vance is the kind of guy, the type of vice president, you can send him on his own to get shit done. Again, we're talking about politicians, puppets, and all that. I got you. But just looking at the political game for what it is, I got to give JD that credit. He's a good talker. He knows how to talk. He knows how to make points and defend himself better than at least a Biden or a Kamala or fucking clowns like that. The guy is solid at what he does. And he's a great wingman for Trump, who is aging. Like earlier, that comment about, 2015, he was off by a year. Not a big deal, but it's those little things you can kind of see that Trump's age is definitely starting to show. And I think JD is that sharp, younger guy that is going to be beneficial for him to have at his side. Only time would tell. We're still early in the presidency, but I think JD might have been a better pick than what people gave him credit for, as far as like at least playing that wingman role.